Alright guys, so have you ever known that really pretty girl that just knew she was pretty? And when you actually got to know her and spend some time with her, you realized that what was on the inside didn't really match what was on the outside? Well, that's kind of the way that I felt about the first gen of the 1MORE ColorBuds. They were a really nice looking pair of earbuds, they were comfortable, and they actually sounded really good too. But as far as features and specs and things that are on the inside, they really didn't match a lot of what was on the outside. And so the 1MORE ColorBuds 2, which is the pair that we're going to check out today, it's kind of like that girl had a lot of time to reflect on herself and she realized things that she needed to work on and improve. And so the result of that is we still have that really pretty girl because the design and the looks of the ColorBuds is almost identical to the first gen. But this time we have much better specs, we have much better insides, and we still kept the price the same. In fact, right now 1MORE is even offering some really low sale price, and they even sent a discount code. So instead of the $99 asking price, you can actually pick these up for $69. So you can actually get the second gen cheaper than you can get the first. But we're going to talk about all of those improvements. We're going to talk about what all comes inside the box. We're going to talk about the sound, and we're going to see if it's worth the $69, but we're still going to see if it's worth that $99 asking price. Now to start with, these are available in 3 different colors. It is available in a black, a white, and a gold. It used to be available in green, so I guess this girl decided to get rid of that friend, and maybe that was the improvement they needed. But they pretty much upgraded everything with the ColorBuds 2. This time it actually works with 1MORE's app, and they have active noise canceling, and they also use the Quiet Max technology that 1MORE has used in their other earbuds. So on top of having, your normal noise canceling, it's having it where your noise canceling is not affecting the sound quality. Now, this is something that happens in pretty much all noise canceling earbuds and headphones. As soon as you turn noise canceling on, it seems to affect the sound by making it boomier or closing in the sound a little bit. And 1MORE does a really good job of keeping the sound the way it is if you're listening to it with the noise canceling on or with the noise canceling off. It is also doing a very good job of blocking out your surroundings, because if you're using these outdoors, a lot of noise canceling earbuds do allow that wind noise to affect what you're listening to, and this pair blocks out that wind. It is also doing a very good job of blocking out your surroundings, and the fact that you're able to pick these up for under $100 really adds to the value of these earbuds. When it comes to the ambient mode, it brings in the surroundings very clearly. It does have a slight digital sound to it, but for the most part it sounds pretty close to natural. So if you need to hear something in your surroundings pretty quick, or you need to carry on a conversation without actually taking your earbuds out, the ambient mode is really good, and it does all of this very well. Now, another huge feature that they added is 1MORE now has partnered with SoundID. And if you're not familiar with this is a company that basically runs through like an A/B hearing test, where you pick the genre that you want to listen to and you tell it if you like the way it sounds on A or B, and it tries to kind of put together your sound preference to give you your own personal profile. Now, the thing that I don't like about this is it almost seems way too obvious that 1MORE decided to release the earbuds not sounding as good as they could out of the box. Like, it sounds pretty flat and lifeless, where when you switch over to the personal ID mode, it makes a huge improvement. Like, you immediately hear the treble a lot better, and you can feel bass that wasn't there the way that you listen to them out of the box. So it almost seems intentional, so that it seems like the SoundID feature is giving you a much more improved sound, which it does, but we'll talk about that a little bit later when we talk about the sound. Now, some other improvements is they now have upgraded to Bluetooth 5.2, and they also are using a Qualcomm 3040 chip, which again is one of those chips where you can get pretty good performance without sacrificing as much battery life. And another huge improvement is this pair now has aptX adaptive playback. Now, that's one of the best codecs that you can have when it comes to Bluetooth, because it just kind of adapts to what you're listening to or even what you're watching. So it's going to cut down on latency if you're going to be watching movies or videos, but it's also going to make sure that you're getting, the best bit rate that you can get when you're listening to audio. Now the connection on these are now using true wireless mirroring, so you'll have no issue if you're going to use these one at a time, and it just kind of makes it seamless. If you take one earbud out, put it in the case, or you just decide to switch to the other, everything just works a little more fluid. Now, another thing that they changed on these, and this is what affects the sound quality, is they went from using a full balanced armature driver to now using a 7mm dynamic driver that's using a graphene diaphragm. So the sound difference between the second gen and the first gen is vastly different in my opinion. The first gen seemed to kind of focus a lot more on just making sure that it came across clear, and this one is just bringing a little bit more thickness to the party. You have more punch in the low end. You still get that same clarity. So it kind of really depends on your sound preference, but I personally like the sound that's coming out of the second gen more than the first. Now, some of the things that they didn't change is this pair still has an IPX5 rating. So if you want to use these at the gym or you want to use these outdoors, you'll be completely fine. But this is still not a pair that you want to submerge into water. And then another thing is they're still using a USB-C cable, but a huge improvement is they have now made the case a Qi wireless charging case. And this is one of those improvements that I am a huge fan of. And speaking of the charging, this is another area that they give you a little bit more, because if you decide to use these with the noise canceling off, you can actually squeeze about 8 hours out of the earbuds, and you can get around 24 hours using the case. But if you just want to use them with the noise canceling on, you can still get 6 hours out of the earbuds and around 18 hours using the case. Now, if you do happen to pick the earbuds up and you realize that you don't have any battery life, these also have a fast charge feature where a 15-minute charge will get you about 2 hours of use. Now, moving over to looking at the case itself, the case is still very tiny. I like the brushed kind of aluminum look that the black model has. Again, I do like that they added the Qi wireless charging, but on the back you can see the USB-C input for charging, and then around on the front it does have that single indicator light. That way you can kind of gauge how much battery life is left on the case. Now, when you open up the lid, there is a single pairing button that's located right between the earbuds, and as you can see, the earbuds are very tiny, and they are identical to the first gen. Now, these do come with 4 different sets of silicone ear tips, so there's plenty there if you need to switch around to make sure that you're getting the right fit. But I do encourage that, because not only does it help keep them in your ear, but it plays a huge part in how they sound when you're listening to music. Now, as far as the controls that these are using, they do use touch controls, and sadly, they don't control everything out of the box. You do have to go within the app and switch around some of the settings. I really wish they would have figured out a way to just give you everything, and they could have done this easily, because they could have taken away the play and pause feature, because the earbuds also have smart sensors where it'll just pause if you take them out of your ears, and it'll just resume once you put them back in. So that could be an easy fix with a firmware update. Now, moving over to the microphones on the earbuds, this is another area where I feel like they definitely improved on. I feel like for phone calls, everything came through clearly. Felt like people on the other end could hear me without any issues. And they also have CVC 8.0 technology, so these are also doing a pretty good job of blocking out my surroundings. But you guys can be a judge by listening to a test here. All right, guys, so here is a mic test using the ColorBuds 2. As you can tell, I think it picks up my voice very cleanly. So this is just to give you an idea of what it would sound like during phone calls. And so now here is the mic test, or the crowd noise being played, which you can hear here. And so this is just to give you an idea of what it would sound like if you were to take a call in public. So now let's go back to talking about the sound, because I am going to stick to the fact that I don't think anybody would prefer the way that these sound out of the box. They were very, very dull. They had no life to them. But again, I felt like this was intentional, because I think it's trying to push you to use that SoundID feature. Because once I went through the test, it just made a night and day difference with my audio. In fact, what didn't have bass in the first place now had plenty of kick to it. In fact, it even got kind of close to having that subwoofer type feel. The same thing with the treble. The treble just got bumped up to a point where I liked it, where it's almost harsh, so details just come through a lot cleaner, things just sound a lot brighter, and the mids were bumped a little bit more forward where vocalists stood out a little bit more. It just had everything kind of bumped up once I went through that A/B test. Now, I do think it's going to differ just depending on what your preferences are, but that's a good thing. I mean, if you like music to sound a certain way, it's nice that that technology is there to just kind of alter that. Now, as far as the soundstage and the sound imaging, this is not the most open pair of earbuds. This is definitely one area that I wish they improved on just a little bit. I would have liked to have them sound a little bit more open. Now, I don't know if, again, this is because once my bass was boosted, it started to close in my sound a little bit. And this has nothing to do with the noise canceling on or off because, like I said, it doesn't seem to play a part on how the audio is actually coming out of the earbuds. I do think this is an excellent pickup at $99, but I think it's a hell of a deal at $69 because you're getting all of these improvements over what was already a pretty good earbud. Just getting noise canceling, getting Qi wireless charging, being able to go through that SoundID and kind of adjust your sound a little bit more. These are pretty big improvements on an earbud that you can now actually get a little bit cheaper than the first gen. But guys, that's my video on the brand new 1MORE ColorBuds 2. Thank you so much for checking out this video. Thank you so much for checking out all the other videos. And as always, make sure to stay tuned for more.